Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and my ASMR videos. This video is going to be slightly different from my other two. Don't worry, I'm still doing the reading the stories. I just thought whilst on the topic of books, I would read, I would do a book on, I can't talk. I would do a video on what books I purchased in my short stint working at Waterstones over Christmas. I absolutely wrecked that discount and I bought a ton of books. I'm going to show you 90% of them. There's a couple that I'm not going to show you, I think because I left them at my mum's, so I will just show you the ones that I have, just talk you through why I bought them and which ones I've read, which I actually don't think I have read any but one in this pile because I'm reading something else that we'll go into when I'm talking. Cool. So the first one that I have read, the only one I have read, is Stephen Fry's The Odyssey. It's quite dark in here because I tried to make it all moody, so it's going to be a struggle to show you these actually, but I'm reading them out to you anyway so you'll know what they are. Yeah, Stephen Fry's The Odyssey. Funny fact, someone asked me where The Odyssey was in the bookstore once, and because The Odyssey had come out, Stephen Fry's The Odyssey had come out recently, I was like, oh yeah, I know where this is, and I took her to this book and she obviously reacted like that's not The Odyssey. She was talking about Homer's The Odyssey, obviously, the original, but I just had Stephen Fry on the brain. So I bought this because I wanted to read the Iliad and the Odyssey, but I kind of wanted a more like a guide for dummies before I did. Not to say that Stephen Fry writes like guide for dummies books, because his writing is so interesting always, but I knew that Homer's version was going to be a lot more complicated to read, so I was like, if I read this one, it will give me a good groundwork. I have also read Mythos by Stephen Fry. I think I have that in my bookcase over there. And it was really good. It was just like a good introductory introduction into Greek mythology, which I've got really into at the moment. He also has a couple others apart from Mythos and the Odyssey. He has Heroes and Troy, which I want to read. So yeah, I read this. It's really good. He includes a bunch of pictures which are like art of like real life art, paintings, sculptures that people have made of Greek gods, Greek goddesses, the heroes, stuff like that. Yes, I'm now reading the Iliad by Homer, and this saved me because there's so many names you have to remember for Homer's books that it's good to have some groundwork, so I would recommend Stephen Fry for sure. There's also, I have my laptop here because I wanted to have like a research whilst I'm talking to make sure I'm getting facts right and to talk about what some of these authors have written as well. So if you see me doing something here, I'm on my laptop. But there is a version. There's a version of the Odyssey written by a lady called Emily Wilson. And it was the first complete published translation of the Homeric Greek by a woman into English. I would like to read hers just to see how different it is. Because yeah, it's very interesting that it's never been written by a woman. And also, whilst we're on the topic of women and Greek mythology, there's an amazing book that I have over there I should have shown you. It's called Wake Siren. I'm gonna get it up here. So it's basically an account of all the stories of the Greek goddesses, and all like the Greek characters, like the women characters in Greek mythology, but from the perspective of the women. So it's quite dark, and it's like it goes into detail on a lot of quite mature topics. So if that's not really your thing, then yeah, just be aware of that. But it's a really good idea for a book, and it's beautiful. It features 34 myths. Talks about Medusa. Medusa's one is really poignant, because I think her story gets told a lot, but in the same way. So this way it just does it beautifully. You should read that if you're interested in it. So yeah, the Iliad is really good, but I think if you want a good starter book for Greek mythology, Stephen Fry, or maybe try Emily Wilson's one. Yeah, I think that's a good groundwork for you. So the next book that I bought was Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. So I didn't really know much about this book, to be honest. I knew that it was on our like buy one get one free table in Waterstones when I worked there, and I knew that a lot of people did buy it. And since I have left, I've realised it's because she's a very popular author. Apart from this book, she's also written Free Food for Millionaires. What's the other book? Oh, it's not coming up. I think this one. So this one's coming out soon, I believe. And it's called American Hagwon. Yeah, it's coming soon. It's not out until September this year. And so Waterstones is like hyping it up a lot, interviewing her. And so yeah, so that's why I decided to buy this, because I hadn't read any of her books before. I'll read you the synopsis, the blurb, whatever you want to call it. Yeongdo, Korea, 1911. Teenage Sunja, the adored daughter of a crippled fisherman, falls for a wealthy yakuza. He promises her the world, but when she discovers she is pregnant and that her lover is married, she refuses to be bought. Facing ruin, she accepts an offer of marriage from a gentle minister passing through on his way to Japan. Following a man she barely knows to a hostile country where she has no friends, Sunja will be forced to make some difficult choices. Her decisions will echo through the decades. Spanning nearly 100 years of history, Pachinko is an unforgettable story of love, sacrifice, ambition, and loyalty, told through 4 generations of one family. It sounds like a book I haven't really read before. I read a lot of Japanese translated books, and I think I've read I think I've probably only read one translated from Korean, and I think it is called The Vegetarian, but let me double check that that is the one. Yeah, so it's set in South Korea, The Vegetarian. That's the only other Korean book that I can, off the top of my head, claim to have read. So it just sounded interesting, and I wanted to check out the author before her book came out later on this year. So yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, George Sanders. I love George Sanders. This book is Lincoln in the Bardo. So my old work colleague, not at Waterstones, at my previous job, which I left to pursue writing, he told me about George Sanders because he believed it could help my writing, and so he lent me The Brain Dead Megaphone and Other Essays by George Sanders, and then he gifted me when I left A Swim in the Pond in the Rain, and I read both. So both are non-fiction. Well, yeah, so The Brain Dead Megaphone is non-fiction. It's just essays that he's written before in different publications, and it's like, he just has a very interesting way of talking. He can make anything sound interesting, and he also is very open-minded and explores lots of different topics from a perspective that like, he goes in and he doesn't have a solid, he's not stuck in his ways. I don't know how to explain it other than that, but he's brilliant, so interesting. And then A Swim in the Pond in the Rain he's a creative writing teacher, and so he takes I think it's like 6 Russian short stories, and he gives it to you and he'll help you analyse it and break it down and see what works and what doesn't work. And yeah, he just teaches you to analyse these creative writings in order to make your writing better. And it's just amazing, and it gave me a love for short stories that I didn't have before. Yeah, I'm gonna have to move this light because the pinkness is blinding me. Oh, that's so much worse. Yeah, so those 2 books are amazing, and so I thought I would buy myself Lincoln in the Bardo, which is, I'll read you the blurb. The American Civil War rages whilst President Lincoln's beloved 11-year-old son lies gravely ill. In a matter of days, Willie dies and is laid to rest in a Georgetown cemetery. Newspapers report that a grief-stricken Lincoln returns to the crypt several times to hold his boy's hand. Or his boy's body, not hand. From the seed of historical truth, George Sanders spins an unforgettable story of familiar... My gosh, I cannot read. Familial love and loss as Willie Lincoln finds himself trapped in a transitional realm where ghosts mingle and squabble and a monumental struggle erupts over his soul. So this one is fiction. Very different energy, I think, from the other 2, but it was shortlisted for the Golden Man Booker Prize, and it was then winner of the Man Booker Prize 2017, so clearly it's good. He's also written a couple others, in Persuasion Nation and 10th of December, and he has this month a new book coming out called Vigil, that I desperately want to buy and read, but as I'm unemployed right now and I have this huge stack of books to read next to me, as well as a bunch of others I haven't read in there, I shouldn't. I know I shouldn't. Okay. Next one. So this is The Artist by Lucy Steeds. I read this because it was quite a big deal in Waterstones when I was there. I think it was like our book of the month. And it's Waterstones' debut fiction prize winner as well. I actually don't know much about this author. Provenance, 1920. Etty moves through the remote farmhouse, silently creating the conditions that make her uncle's artistic genius possible. Joseph, an aspiring journalist, has been invited to the house. He believes he'll make his name by interviewing the reclusive painter, the great Edouard Tartuffe. But everyone has their secrets, and under the cover of darkness, Etty has spent years cultivating hers. Over the sweltering summer, everyone's true colours will be revealed, because Etty is ready to be seen, even if it means setting her world on fire. So I feel like you can kind of tell what direction the narrative is going with that one. But I'm still excited to read it. Apparently it's full of a lot of descriptive, poetic, language of the south of France and the countryside, French countryside, so I'm all for that. So Lucy Steeds doesn't look like she's written a lot, which is crazy if this is her first. This is her first book. Yeah, this was her debut historical fiction novel. So she wrote before this, but this seemed to have been her biggest so far. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah, so I don't know much about that one. I don't know much about the author. I bought it because everyone was raving about it in Waterstones, and so it seemed like a good choice to buy, so I did. I think that can also kind of be said for the next few, to be honest. They were more recommendations than personal choice buys. So this one is The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy. The winner of the Booker Prize as well, international #1 bestseller. So this author was a big deal in Waterstones, amongst the staff anyway. So she released her autobiography, I believe. Also a memoir, which it says, moving memoir charting Roy's complex relationship with her late mother, and how the strength of her bond helped shape the writer and person. These beeping noises stressing me out. Yeah, how the strength of the bond helped shape the writer and person she became. So that was out on the shop floor, and beside it was one of her other books, this one. Let me see if I can find a little bit about her to tell you guys, so that I'm not just saying, yeah, I like the book, I wanted to read it. Yeah, so her full name is Susanna Arundhati Roy. She's an Indian author best known for her novel The God of Small Things, which won the Booker Prize for Fiction in 1997 and became the biggest selling book by a non-expatriate Indian author. She's also a political activist involved in human rights and environmental causes. Amazing. Another large book of hers actually that I saw all the time on the shop floor was the Ministry of Utmost Happiness, and it was her second novel after this, and it was published in 2017, so 20 years after this. So she hasn't wrote a lot, but clearly what she has written has popped off. And she's written a few books since then, I can see, so. But this one, Esther and Rahel, 7-year-old twins, are growing up amidst vast vats of banana jam, mountains of peppercorns, and scenes of political turbulence in Kerala. When their beautiful young cousin Sophie arrives, their world is shaken irrevocably. An illicit liaison and tragedies, accidental and intentional, expose things that lurk unsaid in a country drifting dangerously toward unrest. Lush, lyrical and unnerving, The God of Small Things is a literary sensation and modern classic, suffused with sorrow but fueled by wit and magic. It sounds like it's quite reminiscent of the political state of the Western world today, so I'm excited to read that. I would also like to read The Ministry of Utmost Happiness, but again, we'll see if I have money. Ooh, got a receipt in there. So this was another one on the Waterstones buy one get one half price. And it was shortlisted for the Women's Prize in Fiction 2025. So this is All Fours by Miranda July. I didn't really know about this author at all. I hadn't heard of her. But people were buying this book all the time. I didn't really hear anyone at Waterstones particularly talking about it. But I think I had it on my Waterstones wish list. Let's see what else she has written. So she's written No One Belongs Him More Than You, stories by Miranda July. The First Bad Man, a novel by Miranda July. Miranda July by Miranda July. It Chooses You, Miranda July. I think it's safe to say this is her biggest hit so far. And we'll read the blurb for you. If I can find a blurb. Here we go, it's quite short. A semi-famous artist turns 45 and gives herself a gift. A cross-country trip from LA to New York without her husband and child. But 30 minutes after setting off, she spontaneously exits the freeway, beds down in a nondescript motel, and embarks on the journey of a lifetime. She has some amazing people reviewing it. George Saunders, Gillian Anderson, Dolly Alderton, Pandora Sykes, David Nichols, Daisy Johnson. Like, there's a lot of people reviewing this. The cover is actually gorgeous. You can't really see it. Let me see if I can light it up on my laptop. Like, the cover is honestly gorgeous. So yeah, excited to read that as well. Gosh, I should probably get through this. There's quite a lot. Okay, next one is Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. So I decided to buy this. I haven't ever really felt the need to before because, again, let's light this up on my laptop. I don't know if you can see, but the writing is tiny and the book is the size of my head. And I like long books, but I just thought Russian author, long book, like, I just thought I probably wouldn't get into it. And I get into anything. But then I read George Saunders and he reviewed a short story by Tolstoy, and it was called Master and Man, I believe. Master and Man by Leo Tolstoy, and he reviewed it, and it was my favourite book, my favourite short story that he reviewed in the book. It was just written so interestingly, and it was interesting as well because he writes mainly in like fact. Like there's a lot of just like fact that he writes about, and there was an interesting kind of analysis of how he treats or how he talks about peasants compared to how he talks about the upper class. And he has quite like progressive open views, but he struggles to put himself into the perspective of peasants, even though he has these views. It's very interesting. So I thought, okay, I like his writing, I'm just going to try it. So I'm going to try it. If you're like a book nut, I'm sure you probably know a bunch of stories by Leo Tolstoy anyway. But obviously, so Anna Karenina, Master and Man is a short story by him. If you get the chance to read it, you should. War and Peace, which I know is a struggle to read. I've heard lots of people say that. Maybe one day. The Death of Ivan, I think it's Ivan Ilyich and Other Stories. The Cossacks, Family Happiness, What is Art, Resurrection. He's written a ton, so I'm not going to list them all, but this is basically my first go at a long form fiction novel by him, so I'll let you know how that goes. Cool. Next book, which I love the cover too, because you can see like comes off a bit, and then you can open this bit. It's Kazuo Ishiguro, Clara and the Sun. So my mum loves Never Let Me Go, by Kazuo Ishiguro, and I've seen the film and I know how sad it is. I don't particularly want to read that, but I also love his daughter's work, Naomi Ishiguro. She's probably my favourite author. She's written Common Grounds, which is about two young kids. One of them is a young gypsy kid, and it's about the friendship that these two boys have over their lifetime, and how the differences in their lifestyle and the people around them affect how they grow up and who they've come to be, and their relationship between each other as well. And she also has done a selection of short stories called Escape Routes, or the book is called Escape Routes, and there's a selection of stories that will relate to that theme in there. And the first one in particular is just so beautiful. I know I say beautiful a lot, so maybe it takes some of the meaning away from that, but you should read that. And she has a new book coming out that when you work at Waterstones, you can request to get books from publishers that haven't been published yet. So I tried to request it, but I left before they sent it, even if they were. I don't know if they were going to or not. So yeah, so I love his daughter, and so I want to give him a shot, but I don't want to read Never Let Me Go, because that's really sad. So he's got a bunch, not just those two. He's a really famous author, so I need to read some of his other books. So this one's Clara and the Sun, there's Never Let Me Go, The Remains of the Day, The Buried Giant, A Pale View of Hills, The Unconsoled, An Artist of the Floating World, When We Were Orphans, Nocturnes. There's so many, so this is going to be my start. I'll read the blurb. From her place in the store, Clara, an artificial friend with outstanding observational qualities, watches carefully the behaviour of those who come in to browse and of those who pass in the street outside. She remains hopeful a customer will soon choose her, but when the possibility emerges that her circumstances may change forever, Clara is warned not to invest too much in the promises of humans. In Clara and the Sun, Kazuo Ishiguro looks at our rapidly changing world through the eyes of an unforgettable narrator to explore a fundamental question: what does it mean to love? It sounds so good. And it's also interesting, like, okay, it's fairly recent. I was gonna say, when did he write this? It's from like 2021. But yeah, that's a good book I'm excited to read. So in my stint with like short stories, I became a bit obsessed with seeing who has written short stories, and turns out Roald Dahl has written tons of short stories. It's a big book, big-ish, and so I thought I would like to see his short stories. Turns out he's actually written a lot of adult stories as well. He's not just a child author, he's just most well known for writing those. I think they actually are quite mature. I'm going to read you the blurb because it's interesting. They are brutal, these stories, and yet you finish reading each one with a smile, or maybe even a hollow laugh, certainly a shiver of gratification, because the conclusion always seems so right. And that's Charlie Higson from his introduction to the book. Roald Dahl is one of the most popular writers of the modern age, effortlessly writing for children and kids alike. In this, the first of 2 volumes collecting all his published adult short stories in chronological order, we see how Dahl began by using his experiences in the war to write fiction, but quickly turned to his powerful and dark imagination to pen some of the most unsettling tales ever written. In 27 disquieting stories, written between 1944 and 1953, we encounter such classic tales as Man from the South, featuring a wager with appalling consequences, Lamb to the Slaughter, in which a wife murders her husband and has a novel idea for throwing the police off the scent, and The Sound Machine, in which the horrific truth about plants is revealed. Enter the sinister, twisted world of Roald Dahl. Whether you're young or old, you'll never want to leave. Not much else to say. I just thought it'd be interesting to see Roald Dahl's work for adults. Okay, we got 2 left now. I'm gonna do this one first. So this is Bella Mackie, What a Way to Go. So I bought this because I read How to Kill Your Family by Bella Mackie, and it was really entertaining, really fun. If you've not read it, read it and then you'll understand why I said it's fun. It's not like a simple a woman kills her whole family, that's it, plot. It's like, it's interesting. And so this is following on the same themes from her first book. And so I just wanted to check it out. I'll read the blurb, which again is quite short. Sometimes I love seeing the you know, like people often put a quote at the beginning of the book. I love reading those because I can't remember which book it was. It might have been The God of Small Things. I think she'd used a quote from Charles Dickens. It might have been that, or it might have been The Artist, I can't remember. And then this person, Bella Mackie here, has used a quote from Logan Purcell Smith. It is the wretchedness of being rich that you have to live with rich people. That's so funny. That's such a good quote for this book. You'll understand if you read Bella Mackie, like why that resonates. Meet the Wistons, rich, powerful, morally bankrupt. Anthony is dead. his wife and 4 children each have a motive, and there's a true crime-obsessed outsider ready to expose the killer. With a family like this, who needs enemies? I really like Bella Mackie. Let's see if she's written anything else. Yeah, she has. So, oh, okay. So she's right. What a way to go. How to cook your family. Jog on. How running saved my life. That's interesting. Yes, it really is non-fiction. Oh, it's really interesting. Yes, I wanted to read Bella Mackie because I read her first book, and I don't usually like crime, but she writes it in a very beautiful way. I think Bella Mackie was one of the first authors I recommended when I joined Waterstones. So yeah, and I just want to come around to the last book. Look at this, huge. Everyone's gonna know why I wanted to read this as soon as I show it to you, I reckon. But it's A Little Life by Anya Yanagihara. I think I pronounced that right. I apologise if I didn't. I think this went viral on TikTok like a couple years ago because everyone was reading it and talking about how devastatingly sad it was, and people were like crying on the tube and crying like walking down the road reading it, and I wanted to see what all the fuss was about. Like I've read the blurb, I've read descriptions, I've read reviews without spoilers, and I don't understand how it can be that sad. I don't think I've ever personally cried at a book, so maybe it's just me, I just don't understand that, or maybe I just haven't read a book as sad as this before. So we'll see, won't we? But the blurb, 4 graduates moved to New York, broke adrift and buoyed only by their friendship and ambition. There is kind, handsome actor Willem, the sardonic painter JB, Malcolm, a frustrated architect, and the brilliant yet enigmatic Jude, who serves as their centre of gravity. Over many decades, their complex relationships come to be defined by their respective addictions, successes, and traumas in this immensely powerful novel of love and the limits of human endurance. I'm not a big crier when reading, so I just want to see if I'm going to cry. I want to see if it really is as sad as people are saying it is. But that was the last book I had to show you guys. I'm gonna stop this video now because I can tell that my washing machine is about to go berserk, and I don't want that to ruin the ending of this video. So I hope you liked this. If you want more, because I have honestly probably at least 200 books in my house, if not more, let me know and I'll do some more book reviewing or just book chats. Yeah, so just let me know if you like that and I'll do some more, and see you again.